quietly to go through.
I did that.
Every time something goes wrong in your life, what do? Girl, you won't believe what happened to me this week. Let me tell you what I'm going through. That's not long suffering. Enduring in patience and in silence, knowing that the God that you serve has the answer on the other side. Long suffering. Tolerating the socks left on the floor. Tolerating the eating with the mouth open. Tolerating the snoring all night long. Long suffering. Tolerating that person in the church who seems to want to stir up trouble. Tolerating that pastor who yells and spits at you. Tolerating the music. Long suffering. Because you know that God is taking you through it. We don't have a lot of long-suffering folks anymore. We don't have a lot of folks who want to patiently endure, patiently go through. As I told you last week, I've been reading a book on the apostolic faith of 1906, which came out of the Azusa Street Revival. And one of the ministers they mentioned, Reverend Crawford. Reverend Crawford walked 25 miles every day to go preach on the wharves in San Francisco. Walked by herself just to hold a prayer service for the lost. Not looking about, oh, I wish one day I had a car, or I wish somebody would pick me up, or I was going to do the service of God. We find it tough to get in the car and drive 25 miles, let alone walk it every day. And every day, Monday through Sunday, she made that journey, committed to share the Word of God, enduring patiently, knowing that the reward at the other end was far greater than what she was going through now. Knowing that when she got to the other side was victory. Long suffering. Unconditional long suffering. Charity is kind. We like to think that kind is smiling. I'm showing you kindness. I'm going to show you some too. As long as we're not yelling at anybody, we're being kind, right? That's what we like to think. Actually, in the Greek, it means giving of yourself without thought of yourself. Think about that. Giving of yourself without thought of yourself. I can almost bet there's been somebody in here when the offering plate went around, opened their wallet and go, oh, wait a minute now, I got gas this week. I got Arby's to eat at. I got that dinner. Wait a minute, I think I got some change. Giving of oneself without thought of yourself. Florence Nightingale, who is the founder of modern nursing. During the Crimean War, she had this thought that infection was being spread from one person to the other. Now, we all think that is common sense today, but that wasn't common sense then. It wasn't thought that if Junior got sick and I got sick that I got it from Junior. That wasn't the thought. Just people became infected. And history tells us that she went out to the soldiers, ill, with boils and blisters. And she would go out and she would clean their wounds. And she would take her own clothes and she would tear them into bandages. And that people quit dying. Lo and behold, a few years after the war, she herself was infected and ended up dying. She gave of herself without thought for herself. We always want to think about the circumstances. We had a discussion not too long ago where I was going through Walmart parking lot and there was a young man that was standing there with a cardboard sign that says, "Need money, have 6 kids." Well, what's the first response anybody wants to give? Get a job. Did we give any thought for his circumstance? Why is he where he's at?
Most of those people are fake.
Some are. I will admit, some are. But I don't need to think about that part. Because the Bible tells me that I was naked and you clothed me not. I was hungry and you fed me not. I was without shelter and you took me not in. My job as a Christian is to show God and let them deal with the rest. Now, I'm not one that would go out and take a $50 bill out of my pocket and say, "Here." I would say, "Are you hungry? Let's go to Arby's." I can use a French dip anyhow. You need food at the house? Let's go grocery shopping. But we like to stand back and go, "Well, you know, this is how it is. And I can't give up myself." Or we give ourselves to limits. I can only do so much. The Bible says, "Greater love had no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends." And that's what Jesus did for you. What if he had stopped at giving them a limit? What if he said, "Okay, I'll stand before Pontius Pilate, but I ain't going any further. I'm not going to the cross. I'm not going to the grave. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to do any of that." Where would you be now? Kindness is giving of yourself without thinking about yourself. A fruit, an evidence of being a true Christian. Charity envieth not. Charity envieth not. And this is to be jealous with malice. Do anybody know what malice is? We got jealous people in the church. I hate to say it. Who does she think she is? Look at that outfit she's got on. You just upset because it didn't come in your size or your color. Right? We get jealous and we get envious of each other. If I could just be like him. If I could just be like her. And then because we can't be like them, we try and go and tear them down. Anybody known anybody like this? We envy. But you see that true mark, that true evidence of agape, that love that God bestowed to you, is we're thankful that that person is a part of our lives. That they can't do, or I can't do what they can do, but at least I can associate with it. At least I can be around it and I can enjoy their ministry. I can enjoy their presence. I can enjoy their company. I can't hit notes Cindy can hit. But I get to be in her company some days. And I enjoy it some days. Or I could sit back and go, well, I can't do what Cindy can do, and I don't think she should be able to do it either, so I'm going to just kind of keep her from doing it. We envy, we get jealous with malice. And we want to tear each other down. We want to try and destroy each other's relationship with God. Charity vaunteth not itself. And that Greek word is to boast. When I was younger, I had a friend that every time you went to their house, this is my $2,500 sofa. This is my $200 light. I paid $15,000 for that painting. We went out to dinner and we spent $250 on dinner. They're boasting about everything they've got. They're boasting about everything they can do. They're boasting about their credentials. I'm sitting there going, fool, for $250 you could have ate for 3 weeks. You only had one meal. Let me show you what some ramen noodles and a can of tuna can do. Right? We boast.
I like that too.
Ramen noodles and tuna, see? There you go, brother. We want to boast about who we are and what we are. And most of the time we inflate it. You got a job working $35,000, you somebody say, how much you made? Oh, I made about 65, 70, somewhere in there. Right? We inflate it just a little bit. We boast and build ourselves up. Do you know when you build yourself up, then you're expected to live at that level? Explains kind of why our country's in the state that it's in. A lot of people boast and build themselves up. And when things changed, the fall was really hard. Paul said, I boast in nothing but Jesus Christ. That's all I can boast about. That's all I can talk about. Because that's all that I am. That's all who I am, is what I am in Jesus. One day in this life, everything that you boast about, you're going to leave behind. Everything that you built up, you're going to leave behind. And you're going to stand just yourself before God. And He already knows what you've done. It's not like you can stand there and tell Him a story. Because He already knows. It's not like you're going to be able to submit your resume all punched up and looking good. Because He already knows. That agape love does not boast in itself. I've had the privilege in this life to travel around to a number of churches. And I have to say this, and I hope I don't offend any of the Methodists here. You guys are the best for buying little brass plaques and putting on something. There's a plaque on everything. Right? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Look at the ends of some of these pews.
We got a little plaque. We want to leave our mark. We want to leave our name. You know, when I'm no longer around, the only thing I hope people say is that He knew God. That's it. Doesn't matter about the albums, doesn't matter about the traveling, doesn't matter about the singing, doesn't matter about the preaching. All I want people to know is that he served God. Because it doesn't matter how many brass plaques I put on a pew. It doesn't get me into heaven. Boasting of myself. Telling of my good deeds and my good works. is not puffed up. And that word actually means inflated, full of hot air. Do we know people full of hot air? Homeland hush. At my job, I have to sit in board of directors meetings. And I'm a person who likes to explain things. And I like to explain them that there's no question when I'm done what I was talking about. When I first took the job down there, of course, I was new, and so every time we had a board meeting and the directors of each department was talking about what was going on in the department, at first they came to me. Now I'm the last one on the list because they know I'm going to explain things. And some people said that's full of hot air. To me, I'm just imparting my knowledge on the less fortunate. But some people, they blow hot air that has no meaning whatsoever. Have you been around those folks that tell you about the things they did? You know, I flew around the world in 2 days. You know what they're saying isn't the truth. You know it didn't happen. And you're just sitting there going, yeah, keep talking. People in the church do that too. As you all know, I follow some of the gospel groups on Facebook, and there's one, and I'm not going to mention the group. After every service, they'll tell you how many people came to the altar. Which is nice, which is wonderful, until I had a chance to talk to that gospel group. That's how they keep track of their success. You know, just going to the altar don't do it. I count success by those who have come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ through my ministry and who are still there 5 years later. Who are still there 10 years later. Because they got something real. They got something they could hold on to. They got the evidence of being a Christian. Wasn't an inflated number. Wasn't something to make our numbers look good, to make our church look good. It was what it was. I remember some years ago when we started the 8 o'clock service, people would say, how many people do you have in 8 o'clock service? Oh, we had 3. Remember those days, Sister Paula? We had 3. Why'd you even go? Because God was there. We didn't inflate it. We didn't puff it up. We didn't make it look pretty. We didn't paint it up. We made it what it was. I've said this before. You can put paint on an old barn and make that old barn look good, but it's still full of rotten wood. You can make yourself look good all you want to. But it's that evidence of a true Christian that's going to stand. Not puffed up, not painted. That evidence. We're going to stop here and continue next week. We're not done on the evidence of a believer. But I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you on January the 1st that was asked of Homeland on New Year's. If today you were arrested for being a Christian, is there enough evidence to convict you? Let us stand.